Hi, this is Tom Scott. I'm going to try not to ramble too much, but this is not something I'm comfortable doing. I'm used to being on the other side of the camera or on the other side of the interview, helping to promote other people and other things. But I just felt that this was important to do because it's not pointing to promoting myself or anything I've done, but instead it's pointing to both the wonderful design of our bodies and more importantly, the designer, God, who created our bodies, and how the more we get in sync with that, the easier life becomes, and the more we're able to pretty effortlessly become who we're created to be. So that being said, the big news, of course, today is that I've shed 103 pounds, a little over, since first starting this health journey. And I call it a health journey because it's not been about the weight. I'm probably, I'd say about 2/3 of the way to where I'll wind up being weight-wise. I don't know for a fact because I don't have a goal weight. I pretty much have more of a goal body fat percentage. And I'm gonna even judge that based on what I look like, what I feel like as I get closer to that. And I'll see where I just wind up naturally plateauing in the end, because in all this journey, I have not plateaued once. I've consistently lost every single week, a little after little, without counting calories, without counting carbs, eating tons and tons of food. I can honestly say I've not once gone hungry and felt like, oh my goodness, I need some food. I haven't all of a sudden had dips in energy. In fact, my energy has been higher than ever. So far, 103 pounds, and I haven't gone through any of those types of situations that I'd had with literally dozens and dozens and dozens of other diets I've had through my life. But the difference was those diets were based on weight loss. And frankly, this is not the whole blog, this video, anything I say is not a my diet's better than your diet kind of thing, because I've been on weight loss diets throughout my life from the time I was 10 years old on. And I have gained and lost and gained and lost. And every time I lose, I've lost anywhere between 20 and 40 or 50 pounds on diets in the past and gained them all back, plus a little bit extra. I was the cliche. But in all of that, I was more focused on the weight, on the fat. And the fact is, I suddenly realized through listening and watching different things, through reading God's word, that the fat on my body is not the problem. Even though yes, fat can cause additional problems health-wise, but really at the core of it, the fat is the symptom of the problem, and the problem was malnutrition. So I'll get to that a little bit more later, and definitely in future videos and future blog posts. But first, just want to show you some before pictures. Well, don't want to show you, but I'm going to show you some before pictures. Like I said, way out of my comfort zone. This is me about a year ago, and this one as well. So yes, you can see that it is actually me, and no Photoshop or fancy stuff involved in this. This is live video here with me now, and these are pictures. One thing you'll notice about the pictures, both completely candid shots. I didn't realize people were taking shots of me like that, and there's a reason for that. Clearly, even though it's my personality to be more behind the camera than in front, at the same time, I also clearly was not happy with myself or how I looked or how I felt. And so when I would take the obligatory family shot, I would always have my younger kids be the belly blockers in front of me. Hey, true facts here. And basically I would avoid being in photos at all costs. I still don't enjoy being in photos, but that's okay. It's a whole different story. At least now I don't feel like completely embarrassed by it. I just don't enjoy the process of being out in front of a camera and all like that. So anyway, the cool thing about this whole health journey is that it has not just been about the weight. It's not about the 103 pounds, like I said. Some things that have occurred in addition to that. Within the first 3 weeks of going completely plant-based in my eating, yes, plant-based, cheese was the very last thing to go. I had gone kind of vegetarian before that, but then wound up giving up the cheese and the eggs. And that's when all of a sudden things started taking off for me in a big way. Within 3 weeks of going completely plant-based, I no longer had sleep apnea. and I don't snore. And that's been something that my wife has noted and thinks is kind of cool. I'm sure she sleeps more restfully at night because I'm sleeping more restfully at night. So that's one thing. Rheumatoid arthritis that I was diagnosed with when I was 27 years old, I have had absolutely zero symptoms since then. I don't have the same tightness. I used to be able to predict the weather based on the fact that I had rheumatoid arthritis, and if it got to be that there was a rainy front coming in, I could tell you for sure that it was going to rain pretty soon because I was in pain, a lot of pain, and it kept me from doing a lot of things as well. So that was cleared up. I've lost 13 inches on my waist so far. That's kind of cool. And fortunately, I'd kept a lot of clothes, so I've been finding clothes that I haven't worn in years. In fact, right now I'm down in clothes that I wore in the 90s. So that's kind of cool. Let's see, my blood pressure used to be, it was 169 over 110. And at that point is when the doctor told me, you need to start considering being on blood pressure medication. And I had asked him, so, how long do I have to be on that for? And he basically said, well, it's for life. And yet, within about a month of being on plant-based diet at that point, my blood pressure was down to the at least pre-hypertensive levels. And since then, now I'm down, it usually goes anywhere between 96 and 104 over, I think like 68 to 70, 72-ish. So it's always in that tight band down in that area, which is not just normal, but it's actually really quite good. My resting heart rate tends to be around anywhere from 57 to 62. Depends on if I've had a lot of coffee that day or not. So things like that. I mean, like really incredible things as far as the markers go. I will, when I get nearer to the end of when I'm down closer to where I want to be weight-wise or where I believe I'm going to be weight-wise, I will do a check on all my blood to make sure that everything's going well, that I've got enough, the protein, all the other things, do the complete rundown, but also cholesterol level. My guess is my cholesterol is down below 150 at this point. That would be my guess. I started at 184, so it wasn't incredibly high cholesterol level to begin with. My LDL was actually very low before, or excuse me, my HDL, the good stuff, was too low before. So I'm anxious to see, how that responds to all this diet as well. The reason why I tell you that so many of those shifts occurred very early on is because I wanted to let you know that that wasn't all weight related. If I told you that my blood pressure was down and that sleep apnea was gone, most people would tell you I'd already lost, the weight, and that's what happened. But the sleep apnea was gone beforehand. I mean, I was still, extremely obese and had gotten rid of the sleep apnea. So that wasn't the issue. Anyway, I don't want to ramble and talk your ear off or anything like that. I just want to see if there's anything else I wanted to say. So I'm looking at some notes that I wrote down. Let's see. No, you know what? It's there's so much that I could say, but this isn't a video to give you all the lessons that I've learned in the last year, because there's a ton of them. So many cool things that God has taught me about our bodies. And also know, I'm not advocating that you should be a vegan or completely plant-based. In fact, I'm not a vegan advocate at all. I'm a you advocate. I am passionate. Just the reason why I'm even attempting to get in front of you like this is I am completely passionate that you become who God created you to be. And that means a lot to me, that that we tap into God's design for ourselves. And so I'm not suggesting that everyone become vegan or plant-based. In fact, clearly the Bible doesn't, teach that we're all, having to be plant-based. I will say that there's a lot of principles that I've learned that are biblical, and one of the principles has to do with the difference between treats and celebrations and everyday living. And part of the problem is that, back in biblical days and former times like that, the people who got sick and died young, the people who were, corpulent, massively overweight, the people who developed a lot of the chronic health issues that we have today, were the kings and queens. They were the people that, every day had the the rich foods, the meats, the cheeses, all, those types of things that that were, I believe, meant to be more for celebrations. People even talk to, they'll say, hey, Tom, you don't need to be vegan or plant-based. Look at the prodigal son in the Bible. Look at when a prodigal son came home. They even say they killed the fatted calf. Absolutely, they ate meat. They ate meat at Passover and different times. They had celebrations. Notice that what happened when the prodigal son came home is the father ordered the fatted calf be slain, and that they served the fatted calf. Fatted calf was not already hanging up in the meat closet. Wasn't salt curing in the back. It was something that they went out of their way to do. So it was a celebration time. It also wasn't just, hey, they were having a meat for dinner, so hey, why don't you come on by? We're having, steaks tonight. It was something that was set aside. And so I think there's some principles that we can draw, and there are other things, just tons, like I said, that I could be sharing and that we'll be sharing over time. So this is not to bore you with all that type of stuff right now, and I'm hoping that in my mind that goes like this, I can come with some very direct points every time I want to share something that I believe that I've benefited from, that maybe you can as well. But just know in the end that this is all about you and your relationship with God. And we are designed as these amazing self-healing organisms. And I know so much of my life I felt a prisoner to my own genetics. I just thought that I was destined to be a certain way because of my genetics, and the best I could do is, be the little boy with his finger in the dike, trying to keep some of the water back and doing the best I can. I had no understanding of the fact that with epigenetics, the things we do lifestyle-wise, that the genetics may load the gun, but our lifestyle pulls that trigger, and that we're able to overcome that, and that God created miracles in us already. And that doesn't mean that God doesn't come in and intervene in situations and have, active, alive, new miracles fresh every day. But I am saying that right now, you are a walking miracle. And science still can't explain what animates us. They after we're started and after we're moving, they know what kills us or doesn't kill us, but they don't understand what's keeping us alive, what's making our heart tick every single day, and how that whole process, where that breath of life comes from. We are walking miracles. And God, I was so much looking for miracles outside myself, outside of God, that there was something medically that could be done, something that a pill I could take, a potion I could take, a powder I could take, an exercise program I could be on, all these different things I was looking for, not recognizing that God already created the miracle in us to begin with, and that if we fuel our bodies the right way, if we get in sync with His design for our lives, both from a rhythm standpoint, a time standpoint, when we get our mind, body, and spirit working together, that we have the power, the self-discipline, although I'll get into issues like that later because it's not really a self-discipline thing, but we have everything we need to transform into who He created us to be. So all that to say, love you, and I truly appreciate your desire and applaud your desire. If you're listening or watching at this point, you really want something for your life, and I applaud that, and I will do my very best to give you all that I've learned, and hope and pray that helps you in your journey as well to becoming who you were created to be. So this is Tom Scott, designforwholeness.com. Appreciate you.